I have an attitude. Y'all, why is trash day in my neighborhood? So the thing is, I've always bought like hefty brand trash bags because that's what my mom bought. And the last time I was down to the grocery store, I said, why am I paying all this money for something I'm literally going to throw in the trash? Like it's literally being thrown away. So let me get the store brand version. Bought the store brand version. Go to take it out of the bin once it's full, and it starts like it starts ripping around where the drawstrings are, right? So I'm like, oh no, I can't get it out. Trash day is tomorrow, so I set the entire kitchen trash can at the curb with the big trash can with the top up so they can see that there's a bag of trash inside. And I figured it would just be easy for them to just dump it over, into the truck like I see them do the big ones. They threw away my entire trash can, girl. The whole thing is gone. They just left the big trash can at the curb. As I'm running out of my house, they're hitting the corner to go off into the main street. Trash can just in there. Gone. And I got attitude, like I said. I can't believe it. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what will possess you to throw away the whole trash can. Why would you think I was... I also want to preface with saying that my mouth is blue because I just add a slice of toasted blueberry cream cheese sourdough. I made 2 loaves yesterday. Here they are. One is a brie and fig spread, a little charcuterie inspired loaf, and the other is a blueberry cream cheese. The blueberry one, now the fig and brie was good, about an 8.10, but that blueberry one, and I'm gonna make some French toast with it one day before it goes bad. I also recorded the whole process, so whoever asked me for like a recipe video for sourdough over on Instagram, there will be a reel one day within the next week showing you the start to finish. All of that, and anyway, I've been talking for 2 whole minutes and I didn't even tell y'all hello. What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, a lot goes on, okay? It's not welcome back, it's just welcome. You can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You will not be disappointed unless, of course, your taste level is lacking. To everyone else, hi, hello, I hope you're doing well. And we are about to get into some people's business, as we do. Without further ado, let's get into the details. Now, Daniel Halseth is born January 28th of 1976 to farmers. So he grows up contributing to his family's farm. And his parents really instill in him the value of hard work, discipline, and the importance of family. They're very close-knit. They work together very closely day in, day out to operate this farm, which not only feeds them directly, but brings money into their household. Farming was a big part of who he was and how he spent the bulk of his time, but it was not all that he had going on. He makes time for the extracurricular things. And he also has a lot of friends. Now, Daniel is known to be very charming, very charismatic. I'm trying to see which way feels better on my eye shape. By the time Daniel makes it to his teen years, he has learned to play the piano, and he also plays the drums very well, earning him the nickname Drummer Dan from his peers. He's very well liked. He is a bright kid who seemingly has a bright future. In 1994, Dan suffers his first heartbreak when his father passes away from a brain aneurysm, and this loss was devastating to the entire family. His father was truly the backbone of it, and it took a little bit of time for Dan to reignite his fire after such a loss. He finishes high school a year later. He enrolls into college about an hour away from his hometown, where he earns his bachelor's degree in music, and afterward he goes for his master's in business. And while in school, Dan meets Elizabeth Schwartz. Elizabeth is from Salem, Oregon, where he is currently going to college. She's very pretty. She's got the brains. She's got the beauty. I feel like it's a little problematic because when they met, she was still a senior in high school. But regardless of the fact, the two of them date and their relationship moves pretty quickly. They fall in love. They get married right after she graduates high school, which was in 2001. And right away, they began having children. They have a daughter, Dana, in 2002, a son, Jordan, literally the next year in 2003, and then their third and final child, Sierra, a year after that in 2004. So, child rabbits. Dan and Elizabeth then relocate their family to Las Vegas, where Dan starts his own IT business, which does very well. And about 5 years into them living in Vegas, Elizabeth decides that she wants to get her politician on and run for a seat with the Nevada State Senate. She has supported Dan so much in his business endeavor that naturally he returns that support. So while she is out campaigning, he's at home taking care of the kids, the household, the laundry, all of the things. He is the primary caregiver of their 3 children. He has no problem with it. Here he is with the girls dancing. He's a great dad, loves being a father. Now, Elizabeth takes her campaigning very serious, okay? She is very passionate about politics, and it is not for nothing. She does win the election and becomes the youngest woman ever elected to Nevada legislature at the tender age of 27. But child, that joy and excitement is very short-lived. Elizabeth is having to spend a lot of her time in Carson City, which is about 7 hours away from her and Dan's home over in Vegas. And this distance starts to put a heavy strain on their relationship. But child, that's not the only thing putting a strain on their relationship, because rumors begin to swirl that Elizabeth is out there having an affair with this guy. Now, Tiger is a former pro golf player, and he is also her political peer. And at first, Dan was far away and too busy with the children, washing clothes and making lasagna, to notice anything strange. But after a while, his antennas go up, because when she is at home, she is very busy on that phone texting Tiger. So he asks Elizabeth about their relationship, and when he does, she does her best to assure him that nothing is going on, that he's just being paranoid, insecure, and all of that. But Dan just doesn't believe that that is true. Something in his gut tells him that there's a lot more going on between those two than what she is letting on. And if she is not going to be honest with him, then he will address the other party. So he goes to Tiger, man to man, but not threatening. More so expressing the importance of Elizabeth and his family and wanting Tiger to ease up off of his way. But Tiger and Elizabeth's constant communication continues, neither of them respecting Dan's feelings or his wishes. The two of them, Dan and Elizabeth, they attend couples therapy to try to get past this, which does very little to improve their marriage. And in October of 2011, Dan finds out that Elizabeth and Tiger were actually together when she left to go out of town on this business trip. He confronts his wife, and this time he is not so nice about it. The two of them get into this huge argument, and while it does not turn physical in the sense of a fight, it was very intense. And afterward, Elizabeth goes to the police and reports that Dan had touched her inappropriately during the argument, like in a sexual manner. And based on her accusation, Dan is arrested and charged with open and gross lewdness. Now, by definition, open and gross lewdness is a criminal offense that involves exposing one's private area or engaging in a sexual activity in public. It can also refer to behavior like that is just intended to shock or alarm others, I guess, like flashing, For this, Dan is placed on probation for 6 months. He's also ordered to attend anger management, and that is not even the worst of it. He is required to register as an offender. When it is all said and done, it is very damaging to his career. Mind you, it's news because his wife is this public figure. Dan files for divorce, and their marriage is done once and for all. In the divorce, with all of the things going on, he loses custody of the 3 children, but he is granted visitation. So he gets an apartment nearby the house, so he's not that far, and he can see them as often as possible. Then in 2012, not even a whole year after their split, Elizabeth takes the children, moves almost 2,000 miles away to Alaska. She and Tiger, and those two get married. And because of the relationship that he and Elizabeth have, Dan and Elizabeth, and because the children are so young, there's very little contact compared to what it used to be. But he does not allow his ex-wife to just move all these miles away and cut his face out of the family photos and paste Tiger's in without a fight. And he does his best to keep the line of communication open between them. He would make sure a couple of times a year to visit with them up until 2020 when Elizabeth and Tiger decide that they're going to move back to Vegas. Dan could not be happier. And he and his youngest daughter, Sierra, they become the closest. She's now 15. You know how 15-year-olds give it up, okay? She is moody, very withdrawn. She is not at all like her father's lively, happy personality. But Dan is unfazed by it. He understands that, she's a teen and this kind of thing is normal. So, he looks past his daughter's little rolling eyes, stomping feet, and folded arms, and decides to continue to love her and just try to be the best parent he can. He often posts them on his social media accounts. And despite Elizabeth's protests, Ciara begs to go live with Dan. She also begins texting Dan that she did not feel safe in her household with Elizabeth and her stepdad Tiger, and practically begs her dad to get her out of that situation. All of the three teens spend the summer or June of 2020 with Dan at his place. And when it was time for them to go back to their mother's house, Ciara refused to return home, claiming that she was being abused there and she didn't want to be there. And Dan, concerned about his daughter's safety and well-being, he takes Elizabeth to court seeking legal custody of Ciara. Initially, it's not granted, but Ciara repeatedly runs away to her father's house. She just did not want to be at Elizabeth, so eventually Dan is awarded custody of her and she moves in with him. Now in June, when all three of the teens were there spending time with Dan, Ciara had met 18-year-old Aaron Guerrero and she had started dating him, but this was a secret. Nobody knew, at least her parents didn't know. So now that she is living with her father, Dan, full-time, she is closer to Aaron, and the two of them secretly start making plans to run away together to LA. About 6 months into their relationship, December of 2020, Dan finds out that she is dating this older boy, and he also finds out about their plans to run away together and start this life in Los Angeles. And he is like, okay, no, that's not happening. So he goes and talks with Aaron's parents and also has a conversation with Elizabeth about it as well. Definitely in the spirit of, look, as parents, we need to keep our eye on the things because this is what they're planning and we can't let it happen. The parents are all in agreement with their plan of action, which is to keep the two completely separate altogether. They forbid them from seeing one another, which pisses Ciara off. She does not feel like any of them have the right to keep her from her man, and she is not about to allow any of them to stand in the way of her plan for their life together. So they continue to sneak and see each other when they can, and they keep making their plans. But now the plan has been altered a bit to fit what's currently going on. April 8th, 2021, about a year of her being back in Vegas from Alaska, Ciara steals her father's bank card and she goes and withdraws several $100s. She is also in the company of Aaron, who the day before had run away from his home. The two of them then go into a Winco supermarket where she can be seen here on the cameras purchasing 2 bottles of bleach, some disposable gloves, a few towels, among other things. And then the two of them go to a hardware store, Home Depot, and they buy a circular saw blades, lighter fluid, and then she returns home to wait for her father to return home from his day. Dan was the main obstacle in her eyes, standing in the way of her and her man and their love, and their plan is for that obstacle to simply be removed. So later that day, when Daniel returns home, the two of them ambush him, stabbing him over 70 times, with most of those blows landing in the back of his head. Afterward, they use the circular saw to cut him up, and they put the remains inside of a sleeping bag and set the house on fire in an effort to dispose of not only him, but all of the evidence that they had left behind. Because they left the saw there, they left the bleach, all of the materials. Now, while they are doing all of this, Daniel's mother is texting and calling Dan. She's not able to get a hold of him, obviously. So then she calls Ciara's phone to get a hold of Dan, but Ciara won't answer. So she texts Ciara, and Ciara is stalling. She's answering the grandmother, but first she tells her that, oh, Dad's in the shower, that's why he's not responding, I'll have him call you back. And then later on, when she is still not able to get a hold of Dan, Ciara responds with, his phone has been acting up, but he's okay. It should be fixed by tomorrow night, no worries, smiley face. I guess the mom was asking, like, is everything okay? It's not like Dan to be unreachable. After setting fire to the house, Ciara and Aaron had packed up Dan's car with the things that they had planned to take with them to start their new life together. And they hit the road, but now they're not headed toward LA because they figured the girls might be looking for them in LA. They're going to Salt Lake City, Utah instead. So the morning after all of this is going on, they have made their way to Salt Lake City, Utah. Daniel's mother is still very worried. At this point, she has a gut feeling that something has gone terribly wrong, like something is not right. So she asked for a friend to go over to Daniel's house to do a wellness check just to make sure everything was good. And without even approaching the door, the friend can see right away that something is very, very wrong here. Inside of the house was a complete mess. It was quiet, it was dark, and after a very quick search, the friend finds Daniel's remains in the garage of his home. There were pocket knives in the kitchen sink, a chainsaw just sitting in the living room, and no sign of Sierra, of course, who is still on the run with her boyfriend, thinking the whole place had burned down. Now, unbeknownst to Sierra and Aaron, all of the things that had not burned down to ash, the fire had actually fizzled out before it really could do much damage at all, and they had just left behind this messy, gruesome crime scene with a whole bunch of evidence. She and Aaron decided to ditch Dan's car because they figured, you know, just like LA, the car would be hot. And they basically, in their eyes, they're getting their Bonnie and Clyde on. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking, what happened. Detectives get to work right away trying to make sense of the crime scene. And while a few people speculated that whomever had done this to Dan might have kidnapped Sierra, the vast majority, including the detectives, believed that all of this was done in Sierra's hand. She and her boyfriend, who had coincidentally disappeared from his parents' house the day before, and ain't been heard from since either. 5 days later, on April 13th, the Salt Lake City police stop a bus for a routine fare check. And as luck would have it, not only are Aaron and Sierra aboard this bus, Aaron has snuck onto the bus without paying. They run Aaron's name in their system and he is immediately flagged as a person of interest in a very recent homicide. He and his girlfriend he is traveling with, Sierra. They search the couple's belongings, including their phones, and when they looked through Sierra's phone, they found a very, very disturbing video of the two of them.
I don't know what to say.
Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Day 3 after murdering somebody.
Wow! Don't put that on the camera.
It was worth it.
And we had sex a lot today.
It was worth it. I got plenty of sex. So I was payment for doing it.
And no bleeding this time. We got through that. We overcame.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Neither of them showing an ounce of remorse or regret, just disgusting and trifling and low down. Payment for doing it is wild. This shreds any little bit of doubt that she had done this. Both of them are arrested, and I just want to know what's going on in the front of Aaron's hair like that. Cause you only 18, and she looks just as crazed as the days are short. My God, today, look at her. Although she is only 16, Sierra is charged as an adult instead of a juvenile because she wasn't committing juvenile crimes. And despite all of the evidence against them, they both decide to put in non-guilty pleas and take it to trial. And because COVID had the girls in a vice grip during this time, they have to appear in court via video, which they do, maintaining their innocence. But by 2022, after sitting in jail for a good little year, they both decide that it is probably in their best interest not to take it to trial. They both change their pleas to guilty in order to avoid the harsher sentence they will be up against should they have proceeded with the trial and be declared guilty by a jury. And they both receive a sentence of life in prison with the possibility of paroling after serving 22 years. They are also ordered to pay $5,000 in restitution. And during their sentencing, Aaron was very emotional. He offered an apology to the family, while Dan's own daughter was none of the things. She wasn't tearful. She did not apologize. Instead, she tried to justify her actions, making a shocking claim that her father was physically and sexually abusive and had also forced her to drink alcohol. She said, quote, "My biological father traumatized me. Trauma I still have to work through every day." And hearing Sierra tell the judge this at her sentencing was shocking to the family, to say the least. They were livid, okay, and disgusted. They maintained that she was lying to try to make herself look innocent and justify her actions. Several of his family members, including his brother and his mom, said that he was a great father. All he ever wanted was to be there for his kids, and that he was a great dad. And the fact that she would try to put this on him after what she did to him was just a new low. However, Sierra's mother, Elizabeth, told the Las Vegas Review that she 100% believes what her daughter said about her ex-husband. She said, quote, "The system failed her at every turn. They could have saved her. They failed her." So was y'all knocking her upside the head back in June when she said y'all were? Like, I'm confused. Sierra's lawyer also put out a statement saying, quote, "I don't think anyone here says that this was not horrible. It was just the fact that there was more to the story." In Daniel's obituary, his family completely cut Sierra out. They make no mention of that third child. They just mention the 2 loving children that he is survived by, Dana and Jordan. They make it extremely clear that they do not fool with Sierra. And the day after Sierra's sentencing, Aaron did an interview with a news station where he claimed he suffered from mental health issues and was off his medication and was also taking drugs, LSD to be specific, and he would have never done any of the things had that not been the case. He was just out of his mind. And he says that his hope is to serve his time, to pay his debt to society and Daniel's family, hopefully parole after 22 years, and then prove to the world and to Dan's family that he is rehabilitated and he can be a productive, loving, unviolent, producing member of society. He also says that he is, since the incident or since being arrested, had no contact with Sierra and has no plan of ever contacting Sierra. Y'all, hopefully they keep Sierra in there till ain't no more Sierra left, okay? Because a mess. Actually keep them both. That was disgusting. Girl, I got mental health issues too, but I ain't... Anyway, this ain't about me, and I'm on my medication. Shout out to Late Cipro. Yeah, let me know your thoughts down below on this case. Please like the video before you leave. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. I know you can wear these either way, and I've been wearing them the other way, but I actually think this way fits better. Definitely feels a lot better. A whole lot better. Let me go edit up this post showing y'all how to make this sourdough. Why am I bringing... Why am I... Ugh. Let me take this off. This is blocking this is obstructing my view. I don't like it. Overall, he's very well liked. He seems to be very... Okay, no. He's just a bright kid with... Okay. And it takes Dan a little bit of time to reignite his father. No, his fire. Elected to Nevada legislature. Girl, not the police coming to get me while I film. My God, today. And if she is not going to be honest with him and forthright, wait, no. So this time he confronts her again, and this time, okay. Now by definition, open and gross nudeness, girl. I mean, I guess that could be it, you know. To just move all these million. Okay, no, it's not a million, girl. It's like 1,000. I put 20 on 10 so fast. And during the same time that she was spending that time over at her dad, okay, Sierra had met a boy named Aaron Guerrero. What's his name? Sierra and Aaron had packed up Dan's car. And he was like, okay, no, that's not happening. So he goes to Dan's, no, he is Dan. What am I talking about?